Hare Krishna. So all of a sudden the room looks a lot emptier. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you Shivani Mataji, Rajneesh, for letting us use your house for our weekly satsang. Today is a special day, 3 ways. In 3 ways, it's a special day. We are doing the Bhagavatam installation for Ravi Prabhu. So Ravi Prabhu, of course, has been reading the Bhagavatam for a very long time, but he recently purchased a Bhagavatam set and wanted to use this auspicious day. It's also, we're celebrating the birthday of Kush. So the birthday was a few weeks ago, but we're just being opportunistic about it. This is, I think, 2 weeks from the birthday. And it's the first time we are meeting in the auspicious month of Kartik. So, wonderful time for us to associate with devotees and think about Krishna's names. So, today's discussion, Rajneesh Prabhu had requested a very, very interesting topic for discussion, which was about Japa or chanting, and he had 3 points that he wanted a discussion on. The first was why should we chant? The second is why should we chant 16 rounds? And the third is how should we chant our rounds? And coincidentally, it also resonates with what is considered to be the 3 tiers of Japa, the three levels of chanting, or the 3 stages of chanting. So it's a practical discussion-oriented topic. So I look forward to hearing. All of us are with different time frames, different numbers. We are all chanting, so we all are. We are all have first-hand experience about it, so we can contribute. So we'll start with the Mangalacharana prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutatapakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagunar Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saguna Lalita Shri Vishakhavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurade Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwahamsute Pranamami Harive Mancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripasindhu Yarevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo So why do we chant? The first question is that what is the reason that we chant? So all of us at some point or the other, we began a relationship with the holy name. Some of us a few years ago, some of us a few decades ago, but at some point of time we did begin our relationship with our holy name. And that's the first tier of chanting. There's a very wonderful lecture given in Gita Nagri titled Tears of Tears. So it's like TIERS of tears, TEARS. And I'm kind of condensing it given the time, because we also have to do Damodar Ashtakam, right? So I'm kind of condensing it.
Aarti of Bhagavatam and Damodar Ashtakam then upstairs.
Okay. So how long should we have the discussion?
Just leave 15 minutes at the end.
So how long from
now?
now?
You have about 1 hour 10 minutes.
About an hour. Okay.
1 hour 10 minutes.
So before I begin with the more, I guess what is presented in the scriptures, I want to hear from you. That at different points of time you did take to chanting. There was a time when you were not chanting, at the time that you started chanting. So we can all. This is one of the things that we can never forget. There are some things that are momentous, that stay in our lives. Like in the US, they say that at least people who were around at the time, everybody remembers the day Kennedy was assassinated. They know where they were, they know what they were doing. It was one of those really momentous events. Probably in at least in Delhi, the day Indira Gandhi was assassinated, everybody remembers that day. So, in a different way, we all remember the day when we actually started chanting. So, what was it that was an impetus for us to take to chanting?
I can share mine. I mean, this is at the beginning, when I took to chanting. This is what I'm sharing, is when I started, then it just, number one, it felt very sweet. And number two, I felt like there was some connection, I don't know, to the Mahamantra or maybe to the holy names. Which I didn't feel like it was something new that I had taken up. Maybe, something from past life, some connection was there. So it didn't feel very new to me. Of course, over time, different things have happened, and then feeling fades away sometimes.
Okay, thank you. What else? Mataji?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say why Sadhu with my knowledge. Like in Kalisintan Upanishad, it has been mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also mentioned that in Kali Yuga, it's the only way, like Hare Nama, Kevalam, Kalunasteva, that means the only way to cross the Kali Yuga. So that's the main thing. If we can understand, like for me, whenever I knew that, it became easier. Yeah, that this is the ultimate goal. And nowadays I'm getting a little bit taste, but if I'm not doing, I'm getting so much imbalance in mind and body, everything. But while starting, as Prabhuji was doing, so I was doing, but no taste. And I was just as by the Sikh Guru, like how many rounds, so many excuses. Okay, I'm doing while driving. Then slowly he told, no, it's not the way you have to do, on the beats. Then slowly, without taste, I had to do. That's why I was doing. But with associations, with after hearing lectures.
Good. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Ravi?
It was the means, for me to understand who am I. That search as part of this process recommends chanting. So that's how I started and trying.
Thank you. Rajneesh?
So I also think that I've taken inspiration from a lot of people around me, and if I have talked to if I've ever talked to an elevated personality, the first question they have asked me is, "Are you chanting, and how many rounds are you chanting?" And you should make progress in that direction. I think that was convincing enough for me to start it consistently under shelter.
Thank you. Aksharu?
So, when I started chanting, it was my student life. Just started my degree away from home. So I've always seen my parents chant something or the other, and always felt that they got a lot from it. So fortunately, my roommate was a devotee. So I used to see him chant. So because of him, I started chanting, and it seemed that it really I kind of had an immunity when I started chanting with all the peer pressures that was going on in the hostel life, and also helped me to focus on studies. And that.
Very nice. Thank you. True.
The different phase, when we go through different phase, the reason of chanting keeps on changing. For me, it started with like my Shiksha Guru. He said, "Yeah, you just chant." Before that, anyway, we are from Brahmin family, so we used to worship. I said, with worship, you should chant also. And out of respect, that's how we started the first reason, and maybe the first year. And then slowly, when understand the philosophy, it's understand the chanting helps in Chetamarjana. So basically, it's cleaning our own consciousness, making it more and more pious to accept the holy name, so that we start getting the taste and the benefit. And ultimately, it's a way to establish our relationship with Krishna, because the name is no different than Krishna himself. So probably as we progress in our chanting, our reason of chanting keeps on changing for a higher level.
That is true. Okay, thank you. Vijay?
Mine is more practical way, I think. Like Akshay is saying that like from coming from South India, you hear Mahamantra all the time. And my dad used to tell me stories, like once in a while, that there is this RTO officer, like as long as you put Hare Krishna mantra on the buses, he would get permit to drive around. So he was telling some of the stories. But mostly after coming here, I think it calmed my nerves. So that is now it's like my go-to. Like if something is going on, like automatically internally, you start chanting at least, because people started like, "You are Hare Krishna." Kishan told me a couple of times when I yelled at him in high school, "But you chant Hare Krishna, you are Hare Krishna, how can you yell at people?" But, so I think for me it's more, like I have to live up to that, to be confident. That's more practical.
Right. Okay, thank you. So yes,
One more thing, just I wanted to know, right? It was fear, like Akshay Prabhu told, peer pressure also. Every time will be just by how many rounds you are. So in order to overcome that fear, and we can tell lie. Next program we are going to be asked like how many rounds you are going to do. So that was a pressure we should do. Like after 3 months you should do 4 or 8. So initially
to have that in India, the
They will
confidence
ask.
used to come.
Very
First
gentle,
and
okay, but-
everyone is chanting.
Right. So yeah.
We can do the roll call. From next week we can do the roll call.
I think I'm getting inspiration from that one.
like it's not hurting anyone, just how many rounds you are chanting. Then it peace our heart. Okay, next week at least whatever I'm doing I should increase.
So yes, so I think we covered pretty much the general topics. So when one takes to chanting for the first time, it's based on Shraddha. Some kind of faith that chanting will deliver something to me. It's called soft faith, Sadhu Shraddha. Some kind of faith the faith is generally derived from another devotee. So if you look at the point in time that we started chanting, more often than not, somebody came to us and said that why don't you chant or try chanting, or somebody took the roll call, or somebody inspired by example. Maybe somebody was living by, but through the association of a devotee, somebody told. And the faith is mostly hypothetical. It's theoretical, because at that time most of us, we don't have a full understanding of the holy name. We don't understand fully the nature of spiritual life, but we take to the process because somebody that we have faith on has shared that faith with us. So the person who will tell us to chant is also the person who is chanting himself or herself. We won't see a situation person say, I don't chant, but you can chant. That's, that won't inspire us. But somebody comes and says, I've been chanting for 20 years and I can't live without chanting now. It gives me a lot of peace. Different reasons. And then we say, okay, he's basically, he or she has this personal experience. So let us give it a try. So it's theoretical faith, it's unsubstantiated faith, it is unrealized faith. But nevertheless, it is faith that is bestowed upon us by another devotee. And when we take to it, then some of us experience purva rasa. Purva rasa is that some of us feel that familiarity with the holy name, that they start chanting and they feel that, yes, this looks like my comfort zone. This looks like something I've been doing. This looks like going back home. So the purva rasa, it becomes more. It manifests more strongly. And the way it manifests is that it may give us peace of mind. It may give us this sense of comfort. And we all experience that one way or the other. When we go back to our, like they say, there's nothing like going back home. And when we go back home, so regardless of how tumultuous our life was in home, we do get that sense of peace and comfort over there, just because it's home, just because where we grew up. So that sense that comes because of our prior association with the holy name. So that's why we chant. We may have some incidental engagements with it, like Prabhu was saying that different mantras are chanted in the house, or different practices are done. But what brings us to this path is a devotee who is sharing, experiencing and sharing. So generally called Path Pratakshak Guru. That there are several kinds of gurus. Those of you who attended the disciple course, we talked about that. One of the gurus is the Path Pratakshak Guru that shows you the path. And the person may not be a guru in a conventional sense, like wearing saffron or a senior devotee, but just somebody who out of the goodness of their heart, being inspired by the Super Soul, on the instructions of Srila Prabhupada or the Guru Maharaj, they share their experience. Why do we chant 16 rounds? So one of the questions that we often come up with is that devotion is very spontaneous. It's something that's between us and Krishna. So why do we want to make it sound very much like... So in the material world, we are very much used to these restrictions. 2 of this, 3 of that. You have to be at work at 9 a.m. and you have have to have 5 days at work, you have 20 days of leave or 2 weeks of leave. So a lot of those numerical restrictions are there. And suddenly then you have the same numerical restriction that I'm chanting, I like chanting, I enjoy chanting, it's time that I feel that I'm relaxed. But now you're putting what is a little bit tense for me, saying that you must absolutely chant 16 rounds every day. So where does that come from? Some people ask, why 16? Why not 8? Why not 17? Why not 4 rounds? So separate question, but still the basic question that for discussion is why 16 rounds?
Continuous chanting gives us like in our mind every time when we chant. So while doing other works also, then we start chanting slowly as we are chanting 16 rounds. So that way we practice, and at the end when we are going to die, that time also we'll remember Krishna. Otherwise, if we don't practice from now, then we will not remember Krishna when we are at our end time.
So we basically practice to live as we would like to give up our life.
Right.
In that mode. Antakalesh Karmameva. Thank you. What else?
Bring some kind of standardization to the community, like somebody has suggested. So unification, so that everybody can congregate together and they're passing the same commonality, to bring commonality within the community.
Sense of identity, unity. We are all chanting 16 rounds that way. Yeah, thank you. Mataji?
I don't remember exactly, but somewhere I have read, whenever Prabhupada has been asked how many rounds, then Prabhupada told whole day, 24 hours, you should be Krishna conscious. So but coming to the point of chanting, for like actually 64 round or something, but for Grihastha, if you are having lot of all the activities, minimum is 16, and maybe 16 syllables or something. But she just mentioned do 16.
Do 16. Because Prabhupada mentioned.
Yeah, Prabhupada mentioned.
Okay.
I'd also say something what Rajneesh and Amrita is saying, that just because our Vaishnavacharya has said, Prabhupada has said 16 rounds, so there must be some reason why he is saying 16. So
Right.
just follow that instruction.
Right.
And like Rajneesh said, it brings the community together, with the standard in mind that we have to, we have to do this.
Right. Thank you.
Progress.
Nandin Krishna?
I think somebody asked Srila Prabhupada this question, why 16 rounds? And Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this isn't bare minimum to chant 16 rounds. We should chant actually continuously. Actually in Gujarat they used to chant 64 rounds. So the basic original number was 64. But because we are not so conscientious and we have attention deficit syndrome, so that's why we get 16 rounds. But the whole idea, he said that if you chant 16 rounds, Prabhupada mentioned that if you chant 16 rounds in the morning, this will help you to remember Krishna all throughout it.
Like that's what we say.
That's why we chant 16 rounds, just to remember Krishna, able to remember Krishna all the time. And other mathematical principle behind 16 rounds is that if you multiply 16 by 108, it's 1,732, which is equals to the number of breath you take in one day. So it's like you're putting each and holy name on every breath you take.
No, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Thank you, Prabhupada. Any other thoughts? So yes, the reason we chant 16 rounds is because we are asked to chant 16 rounds. And I think the basic principle over here is that of submission. So one's spiritual life, it begins when we submit to the authority of the scriptures. Unless we do that, then there is no meaning of spiritual life. The difference between spiritual life and material life is, so it's not that everybody in material life is impious. It's not that they are all criminals doing sinful activities. Some may be, some may not be. But still we make that distinction. In the 16th chapter, Krishna makes that distinction between divine and demoniac natures. And he says demoniac nature is one that acts whimsically as per their own mental speculation. Divine nature is one that acts according to the instructions of the scriptures. So the instruction of the scriptures come to us through the instructions of our acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Dashmul Tattva, he talks about the 10 essential principles of spirituality, and he says the other 9 principles are based on the first mool, the first essence, which is that accept the authority of the scriptures. And when we accept the authority of the scriptures, we accept the authority of those who are presenting the scriptures. So in a way, it's difficult to deterministically answer the question of 16, because like Navin Krishna was saying, that before Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he asked his disciples to chant 64 rounds. And the number over there is that if you chant 64 rounds, they translate to 100,000 names. So they were known as a Lakitapati, people who chant 1 lakh names every day. And Bhaktisiddhanta would not eat in a house of a person who was not chanting 64 rounds a day, because he considered that human life began with 64 rounds being chanted. When Srila Prabhupada was first in New York giving initiation, so his disciples, so Mukund Maharaj was one of his first disciples. He was actually based in DC. So this is, he had come over to our house and we were having a discussion with him. So he was sharing the time that, he was going to get initiated in a few days. And then he asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, now that we are initiated, how many rounds should we chant? Prabhupada said 64 rounds. So then Mukund Maharaj says that he became quiet because it was difficult for him to chant. So Prabhupada noticed that he was quiet and he said, okay, chant 32 rounds. So Mukund Maharaj was still quiet. He couldn't say anything. So Prabhupada looked at him again and said 16, but no less than that. So and I was just joking. I said, Maharaj, if you had stayed quiet one more time, Prabhupada would have said 8 rounds. So Mukund Maharaj got a little upset at me. He said, no, 16 rounds is the minimum. And there should be no problem chanting 16 rounds. So I said, yes, Maharaj. So ultimately it's because that's what Srila Prabhupada founder Acharya. He said 16 rounds. He also said that chant as much as possible, but at least 16 rounds. So the at least 16 rounds, it brings us that sense of the sense of allegiance. When we get initiated, then we take a vow. So the first vow that we take is how many rounds will you chant every day? That's the first vow. After that, you take the other 4 vows. But the first vow that you are asked is how many rounds will you chant every day? And the prerequisite to being initiated is that I will chant 16 rounds every day for the rest of my life. That's the prerequisite for chanting. So it gives us this discipline of building our muscles of submission. That spirituality is not a matter of being whimsical. It's not a matter of being sentimental. It is something that is purposeful, something that is deliberate, something that is systematic. When the 6 Goswamis are glorified, they're glorified. One of the glorification is that they chanted a prescribed number of rounds every day. They chanted a lot more rounds, but they chanted a prescribed number of rounds every day. And part of our submission to this is understanding the importance of the holy name. So from faith, we come to the second stage, which is knowledge. That yes, it is important to chant. The holy name is important in our lives. So when we go from the first point to the second point, we get either by our own endeavor or through reading books or through discussions, we get exposed to many other aspects of the potency of the holy name. So like Amrita Mataji was sharing that it is the Yuga Dharma, that Hare Nam eva kevalam kalam nastev gatiranyata. That in this age of Kali, there is no other way than chanting. The Srimad Bhagavatam, Parishad Maharaj says to Maharaj Parikshit, Sukadev Goswami says to Maharaj Parikshit, Kalera dosh nidhe rajan astya ek mahaguna kirtana deva krishna sya mukta sang param rajet. That this age of Kali, Kalera dosh, full of faults. But he says, O king, nidhe rajan, O king, astya ek mahaguna. There is one big guna, very good quality in this age of Kali. Kirtana Deva Krishna Sya. Just by chanting Krishna's name, two things will happen. Mukta Sang, that we give up this material association, Param Rajet, that we reach our supreme destination, the spiritual world. And there are many other scriptural injunctions that glorify. The chanting in this age of Kali is so important that Krishna came himself to establish the Yuga Dharma. In every Yuga there is a Dharma. Kritiya Dhyayate Vishnu. That in the age of Satyug, it is Dhyan. It is meditation. Kritiya Dhyayate Vishnu. Treta Yagyate Maka. In the age of Treta Yuga, it is performance of Yagya. Dvapare Paricharyaya. In the age of Dwapar Yuga, it is temple worship. Kalauta Dharya Kirtanat. Age of Kali, it is Kirtan. So, in this age of Kali, Kirtan is so important. Krishna came himself, Swayam Bhagwan, he came himself to establish the Yuga Dharma. In the other ages, he sent his representatives, he came as a partial incarnation, but only in this age of Kali, Tusha Krishna, that Krishna himself came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he established the Yuga Dharma of chanting by practicing it also. So he showed us how to chant. He introduced us to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It was always there, but he introduced us to it as a way through which we can reach perfection. Some people say that there are so many mantras that are there. There's the Gayatri mantra, there is Om Namo Narayana, so many Om Namo Vasudevaya. Prahlad Maharaj, what was he chanting? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So different mantras. Why do we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is especially potent. In the Kali Sanatana Upanishad, the mantra is actually spoken by Lord Brahma. When Narad Muni, he asked him that what will happen to this people in the age of Kali? It's an age of all hypocrisy and people are impious. They will all go to hellish conditions. And then Lord Brahma said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashkam Nam, Kali Kalantram Nashanam, Nath Paratropaya, Sarve Deshi Drishyatu. He says that Iti Shodashkam Nam, that Shodashkam means 16. So he said this mantra of 16 names, Iti Shodashkam Nam, Kali Kalantram Nashanam. It will destroy all the mysteries in this age of Kali. And Lord Brahma is the original recipient of the Vedas. So then he speaks about the authority of the Vedas. Kali Kalantram Nashanam, Nath Paratropaya, Sarva Vedesha Drishyatu. He said, I have read all the Vedas. And this is coming from the authority of the Vedas. And this is my conclusion, that you speak the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a Vedic mantra. And in the Vedas, it is present a little differently. It is present as Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So the Ram comes before Krishna. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, then at that time, this is 500 years ago, there was still a fair amount of strictness. There was this sense of only Brahmins can recite Vedic mantras. You need to have an Upanayan. You need to have been spiritually initiated. You can only receive it from a guru. So there were a lot of restrictions in chanting the Vedic mantras. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he reversed the order. He reversed the order of Ram and Krishna. And in a way, so Mahaprabhu accomplished many things at the same time. So he made it, so since you chant continuously, it's the same. So, when you chant over and over again, it does not make a difference. But he also said it's not a Vedic mantra, so anybody can chant it. And he wanted to emphasize on the position of Krishna. Of course, Ram is also another name of Krishna. So he personally introduced us to the chanting. That's why we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because in the same spirit that we chant 16 rounds, because we have been asked to do so by the Acharyas, based on the Vedic scriptures, we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because it has been given to us by the Acharyas according to the scriptural injunctions. So that is the second tier. Why do we chant 16 rounds? Any questions, comments on this?
So, Prabhu, the order of Rama and Krishna, which is different in Vedas and versus what has been prescribed by Vaishnavas. Many people ask that question that Rama came before Krishna and all those points. So, what is the basic injunction from Vedas' point of view? Why Rama came first, and it should have been Krishna first?
So there is a discussion on this by there's a book called Hare Krishna Mahamantra by Mahavir Swami, and the point that he makes is that the Ram that comes in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra refers to Krishna. So Lord Ram and Lord Krishna are not different. So it is right but not right. But the root word of Ram is Ramyate. So Ramyate is one who gives, one with. Who induces intense pleasure. Ramyate becomes completely part of you, with lot of ecstasy, and that is Krishna's quality. Krishna's primary quality is attracts everybody to himself, and the second quality is that the person experiences intense bliss in the association of Krishna. So understanding is that they're both names of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the lecture, he says that when you're chanting Ram, you can think about the quality of Krishna as Ram. You can think about Lord Ram. He said you can even think about Parshuram. Completely different mode, but he said they are all different aspects of Krishna. And you can think, he said you can think of Balaram, Lord Balaram also. Different aspects of Krishna. Yeah. Anything else? Any other thoughts?
What is the Hare? Because other than Ram and Krishna, Hare is a lot of times in the Mahamantra.
Right. Thank you. So Hare refers to Srimati Radharani. When we were discussing on Radharani's appearance day, the relationship between Krishna and Radha, so Krishna is the energetic and Srimati Radharani is the energy. So Hari, that kind of Hara kind of reflects to the energy. So when you say and Hara in the vocative form becomes Hare. So when you say Hare Krishna, then you're saying O energy of Krishna. So really speaking, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not even a prayer to Krishna. It's a prayer to Srimati Radharani. Krishna is kind of incidental there. Because when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are asking for service. So we are asking for service from one who is the topmost servitor of Krishna. So when we say Hare Krishna, we say, O energy of Krishna, O energy of Ram, please give us the opportunity to serve. Serve whom? Serve the devotees. Serve Krishna. So that's why the Mahamantra is considered to be the means and the end. Because the means to make spiritual advancement is by serving Krishna and his devotees. And where does that take us? It takes us to even more service to Krishna and his devotees. In the spiritual world, everybody is busy serving somebody. In the material world, everybody is busy serving themselves. So they serve their senses, their mind, their desires. In the spiritual world, it's the opposite. That's why they say material and spiritual worlds are opposite of one another. So in the spiritual world, everybody is busy serving somebody. The Manjaris are serving the gopis are serving the Ashtasakhis are serving Radharani is serving Krishna is serving his devotees. So the whole cycle of service is very, very prominent. In fact, in one of the verses, Krishna actually is God. He's capable of everything. But this is an area where he expresses his incompleteness. He tells the gopis that the service that you give me, I cannot reciprocate to that. Your service to me is much more than what I can serve you. Your love for me is a lot more than I can actually reciprocate. So just consider that service itself to be glorious. So service is so glorious that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's saying that this is something that so when he says that it is more than me, it means that it's something that conquers him. So that is what the Hare Krishna Mahamantra personifies, and that's what it gives us an opportunity to do so. Okay. So third part is how to chant. So we looked at that. We started to chant with faith. We committed to chant 16 rounds based on knowledge of the potency of the holy name, the position of Guru and Krishna, and the third part is how best to chant. So this is again a struggle that we all have. So we are all practicing devotees. We chant. Some days we chant good rounds. Some days we don't chant good rounds. But we always have the desire in us to improve the quality of our chanting. So that brings us to the third tier of chanting. So we talked about knowledge. We talked about faith. The third tier is called that of realization. What's the realization? The realization that there is no difference between Krishna and his name. So once we get that realization in our heart, the quality of our chanting automatically improves. It goes from academic to experiential. Right now most of us are chanting because we are asked to chant and we have some connection with it. We have some reciprocation. We feel it. Sometimes it's like clouds in the sky. Sometimes the wind comes and it blows it away and it's bright sunlight, then the clouds come back again. Someday we chant and we say, oh, this is good. This is how I will chant now for the rest of my life. And then the next day you forget about that. But those glimpses, that's what keeps us going, right? It stays in our mind, it stays in our heart, and it keeps us going. But the consistency of relishing chanting comes with the realization that Krishna is there, personally present in his name, and this is only there in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the acharyas say that one should not consider, and it's a little counterintuitive. The acharyas say that one should not consider the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be a mantra, because the Vedas are full of mantras. the purpose of the mantra, so what does the word mantra mean? So mantra means mana trayate. So mana is mind and trayate is frees or gives peace or relieves. So the nature of the mantra is that it expands your mental horizon. And there are so many mantras. There's the Gayatri mantra, there is different stutis, etc. And the purpose of the mantras is that it gives peace to our mind. It also attracts the attention. So when we chant a mantra, when we chant Om Namah Shivaya, then Lord Shiv becomes pleased with us. So it attracts the attention of the presiding deity that this person is calling. Many years ago, I attended this course, Dale Carnegie course, about how to influence people and make friends. And the number one process for that was ask the person's name, remember it, and repeat it as many times as possible. Because they say the one thing that the person is most attached to is their name. There is a room when there is all kind of people talking and everything. Somebody says your name, your attention goes immediately to that person. Somebody says your name wrongly, then you also remember that person. When I initially came to the country, my name was mispronounced so much that I wasn't used to my name getting mispronounced because it's a typical Indian name, and I never experienced that people could call you by a different name. And especially because initially I was in California, so they would call me completely, I would take me a while to figure out they're actually addressing me, call me completely different. But your name, called, pronounced rightly, it's sweet. It attracts. Krishna is a person also. So are the deities. So when you chant the mantra of the presiding deities, the attention goes to you, and they become benevolent. But when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we are associating directly with Krishna. So Krishna is non-different from his name. Prabhupada once made this statement that when you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Radha and Krishna, they dance on your tongue. And when I read it, I was thinking that it's just a metaphor, an eloquent metaphor, but actually it is not. It is literal. But that realization, it comes through a process. One of Prabhupada's favorite verses was Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinav Nama Namano. That Nama Chintamani Krishna, that Krishna's name is Chintamani. It is like the desire fulfilling stones. They fulfill all your desires. Nam Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So Chaitanya also means conscious. So it is fully conscious. The name is not a sound vibration. The sound vibration comes and it has no value. Prabhupada would say that you're thirsty and you chant water, it's not going to quench your thirst because it's just a material sound. But Krishna's name, it is Chaitanya, fully Chaitya, fully conscious. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And it has all the mellows that Krishna has. One of Krishna's name is Rasaraj, that he is the king of mellows. That he has all the mellows, all the way from Madhurya to Dasya, Sakhya, and Vatsalya, and then he has so many other mellows. They're all there in Krishna's name, and we experience that. Sometimes when we are feeling sad, we chant the holy name. It comes to us in Vatsalya Ras. It comes to us like our parents saying that, okay, don't worry, everything will be okay. Sometimes it pacifies us. Sometimes it encourages us. Sometimes it makes us feel exhilarated. All the rasas are emanating from the holy name. And then Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So what does Vigraha mean? Vigraha means person. That it has a form. So it's interesting that this is used for the holy name, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And Abhinav Nama Namina. That there is no difference between Krishna and his name. And it is Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto. It is completely pure. There is no contamination in the holy name. And it is eternally pure and eternally purifying us. So when we begin to develop this understanding that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not a mantra, but it is a prayer. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not a mantra, but it's an invitation. When we sit and chant, we are inviting Krishna to come with us. I remember we once did a Japa workshop, and one of the exercises that was we were asked to do, which was quite effective, was the devotees were asked to face one another, and then one of the devotee would be Krishna. So the other devotee would say, "Thank you, Krishna, for being here with me. Thank you for coming." And then we chanted a little bit, half a round or something like that, but with the consciousness that this person that Krishna is sitting in front of us. And then the whole mood of the chanting changed. That we are actually personally associating with Krishna. Not only Krishna, we are associating with Srimati Radharani. Krishna is okay. And Gaudiya Vaishnava, Krishna is Krishna. But special is Srimati Radharani. So we are associating with Srimati Radharani. Both of them are there. They are personally present. So when we do that realization, the quality of our chanting automatically becomes instead of from the tongue, it becomes from the heart. Bhakti Vinod Thakur would say that the journey from the tongue to the heart is a long journey. That we can chant, firstly, just chanting, it is a big journey itself. Right? Who was saying, I think Rajneesh Prabhu was once saying that you go to people, you say chant, 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 they say can't. So just that journey from can't to chant, that itself is a long journey. There are some people who will never chant, who for whatever reason they will never chant, and because the Sukriti is not there, because the heart is not open. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that you should chant. If you don't chant, you should regret the fact that you don't chant. The regret should be there. If you don't have the regret, you should have the regret for the fact that you don't have the regret that you can't chant. But at some point or the other, there should be some feeling of incompleteness. Unless you are able to see the fact that this material world is not all that it is made out to be. Unless you are able to realize that your shelter does not lie in this temporary material world, that regret will not come. And ultimately that regret would lead us, if we are fortuitous, to the association of a devotee. And we discussed the 5 C's and the curiosity, that why do I feel this sense of incompleteness? So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are having this, as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav, we are having this discussion about the trance of Srila Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva is a very, very exalted soul, but at some point he started feeling the sense of incompleteness. But because he was fully equipped, he did not just let it go. It started with curiosity, that why am I feeling incomplete? I have done my service, I have done my duty, I have divided the Vedas, I have written the Mahabharata. Why am I still feeling incomplete? And when that curiosity became intense, in response to that, Nada Muni comes. And he says the reason that you're feeling incomplete is because you have not explicitly glorified Krishna. So, and that led to the writing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in our lives, when we feel, so we all feel that sense of incompleteness. That's the nature of the material world. Nobody, even the most dull-minded person, they will still feel that sense of incompleteness. It is intrinsic in the material world. But one out of a million will pursue that inquiry. That I'm feeling this sense of incompleteness. What should I do? The other 99999 will say can't. One person will take to chanting, and from the point of taking to chanting with realization. So understanding the abhinav, understanding the non-difference between Krishna and his name, it goes beyond intellectual. So I can tell you that Krishna is not different from the name. You can accept it, but it is still intellectual. So how does it come to our heart? So again, the process is the means and the end. The perfection of chanting lies in chanting itself. That as we chant more and more, as we chant according to the instructions that are given to us. So we don't get the only instruction that we don't get the only instruction that chant 16 rounds. The instruction that we get is chant 16 rounds attentively. So we try and chant attentively. And in order to make our chanting attentive, there are other attendant procedures. That we get up in the morning, we pick a time of the day when the modes are relatively calmed down. We try and finish our rounds at one time. So these are all different ways by which we are submitting ourselves more and more to the desire that we want to go to the next step. So in spirituality, the next step is a little bit of effort and a lot of mercy. So, but the effort needs to be there. Somebody was, I was carpooling back with one of my colleagues, and he was very excited. He said this is a lottery ticket is $2 billion now, and he said, I got $20 worth of tickets. So I said, what's the odds that you will win? He said it's 1 in 305 million. That's the odds that you could win. And he said I said it's very small odds. He said, yeah, but the difference between you and me is I still have a chance to win the lottery. You don't even have the chance of winning the lottery. So, and I was trying to relate. Of course, he didn't win. I'm still calculating. So he said, if I don't come tomorrow, then just know that. So, which is good for me, But that the fact that he put that dollar in now qualifies him to get $2 billion, right? So the fact that we take to the process of chanting in whatever way we do, we have bought a $1 lottery ticket, small effort from us, right? And of course, this is not exactly the same. It's not that we're gambling, but we have put in that small effort. Ultimately, the only way we can go to Krishna is when Krishna reaches out and he catches hold of her shikha and pulls her. That's why they say you keep a shikha. That when your Krishna is ready to take you, then he reaches out, pulls you by the shikha. Ultimately, that's the reason that we'll go back. But we have to show to Krishna that we are interested, that we are sincere. So that is our submission. That we chant regularly, we chant a prescribed number of rounds, and most importantly, every day that we chant, we try to chant a little bit better than the day before. We are not aspiring for perfection. Prabhupada would say that perfection is a sign of impersonalism, because only Krishna can be perfect. So we're not aspiring that tomorrow I will chant perfect rounds, and my rounds will be so potent that when I chant, and Krishna and Radha will actually, I will see them dancing on my tongue. That's not our mood. Our mood is that we will chant with all our sincerity a little better, and a little better, and a little better. And that sincerity will attract the attention of Guru Maharaj, will attract the attention of devotees, attract the attention of Srimati Radharani, and by their inspiration, our chanting will become to a stage where it has faith in it, it has knowledge in it, but it also has realization in it. Any questions, comments?
And also it has potency to, send us services on a day. That's the way Radharani is going to bless us with services. If there is sincerity in our chanting.
Right. And that's considered to be one of the tangible reciprocations. That when we chant, we are chanting for service, and when we start getting service, that means that our chanting is potent. So one of the reciprocations is that we develop a taste for chanting. That is more subtle. It's there within us. But the external manifestation is that as you chant sincerely, you get more and more opportunities to serve, and that service basically feeds into your chanting. So it's something that nurtures one another. So that's a good point. Thank you. Anything else?
Another thing, Prabhuji, like in spiritual life, there is no stagnancy. Either you have to progress, if not, then degradation starts. Prabhupada had mentioned.
Right.
So you have to improve.
Right. The improvement or the effort for improvement should be always there. Prabhupada would say that you either progress or you regress. So.
And Maya is so strong, regression is faster than the progress.
Yeah.
So you have to put your effort to overcome that.
Yeah. Thank you.
In many lectures, and even I think Mohanjitu Maharaj also written the same way that when we chant, we should chant like a child is crying out for a mother. So that's the way we should chant, that like we are crying out for Krishna.
Yeah, I think that mood of helplessness, in the Bhagavatam there is a pastime Vajamel, and he used to chant, and then he stopped chanting. And then at the time of dying, when he saw the Yamadutas, then he started calling out for his son. His son's name was Narayan. He started calling Narayan. But the potency of the holy name is that because of the Purvaras, because he had an established relationship that he had forgotten, but he had an established relationship with Krishna in the past. And because of that, he got a second chance. The Vishnu Dutas came. They forbid the Yamdutas from taking his subtle body. And he witnessed the conversation between the Yamdutas and the Vishnu Dutas. And the conversation was mostly about the potency of the holy name. Because the Yamdutas said, because when he gave up chanting, he became a very sinful person. And the Yamduta said, he's committed so many sins. He has robbed people, he has killed people, he has had illicit relationship with a woman. So he belongs to Yamraj, the hellish planet. And the Vishnu said, no. He called out Lord Narayan in a mode of helplessness, in the mode of, Namabhas. So Namabhas is, it looks like, Abhas means that it has the sense of being something. So it may not be it, but it has the sense. So he called out the name. So that because of that, he is no longer under the purview of Yamraj. And then the Yamdutas, they go back. They understand and they go back. And of course, Ajamel, he witnesses this conversation, and then he perfects his life. After that, he lives for a short time. He perfects his chanting, and then he goes back to Vishnuloka. Yeah. So So experiencing that sense of dependency on the holy name, the sense of taking shelter of the holy name. That again, when we reach to the stage of realization, these are things that we can recognize, but we cannot will. Just like we cannot will love, right? We cannot say that from tomorrow onwards I will love this person, from day after I will love this person. It's a very internal emotion. We can't build that sense of desperation. We can't build that sense of helplessness. But we can recognize it. That's why the acharyas call it out. That when we follow sadhana Vaidhi Bhakti, the process is purifying in itself. As we follow the regulative principles, as we chant our prescribed number of rounds, as we submit to the different rules and regulations that are given to us to improve the quality of our chanting, then we develop these feelings of that my only shelter is the holy name. Develop this feeling that without the holy name, I have no protection, right? And that is, and the acharyas have called it out, so that we can. One of the things that we always ask in spiritual life is, am I making progress? Right? People would come to Prabhupada also that how do I know that I'm making progress? One of his earlier disciples, she came to Prabhupada and she said, Prabhupada, when I chant, I see this purple light in my forehead. What does that mean? Prabhupada said, don't worry, keep chanting, it will go away. So people were very much into trying to see, what is it? Is God the purple light that comes between my forehead, or is it this sense that I'm floating in the air? And Prabhupada was very pragmatic, because the holy name is not something cheap. It's not something that will light up a purple bulb in your forehead. It's not something that make you feel weightlessness. These are all small siddhis that anybody can get with a little bit of practice. But the holy name is much, much more than that. It's gold, it's not iron. So when you chant, and Prabhupada wanted to give this importance to the relationship with the holy name, that when you're chanting, then you're actually on the path of reclaiming your rightful position with Krishna. So don't get sidetracked by this cheap theatrics. Keep your eye on the goal. What I want is ultimately to be with Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, and that is it's an exalted goal. The yogis, they perform austerities for millions of years in order to get a glimpse of the toenails of Krishna. Prabhupada would say that we are devotees by nature are very greedy. They will not settle for small things. They won't settle. The people who are jnanis, all they want to see is the effulgence of Krishna, the Brahma Jyoti. All the yogis want to see is the light emanating from the toenails of Krishna. But the devotees are not satisfied with that. They want to climb on the shoulder of Krishna. They want to play with Krishna. So he said, if you have such ambitious plans, then stay true to it. And pursue your objective as single-minded determination. And the single most potent aspect to our journey to Krishna is the relationship that we develop with the holy name.
I just want to comment on Sachi Prabhu's comment that you should be crying out of helplessness, and then there is a cry out of ecstasy. So there's a difference. We should be crying out of helplessness because we're not at the stage where we can be crying out of ecstasy. And Prabhupada was very severe, not severe, but he was very strict about that part where a person when reaches the stage of ecstasy or the transcendental stage, when there are tears falling out, then we have to be careful, because there are so many pretenders out there, especially in India. You'll see people doing these Bhagavad Kathas or something, and they start to cry, and there's a loud wail of, ecstasy, and this Prabhupada was very, very, heavy about that. That don't try and to pretend that you are in the sex.
Right.
Call them sahajiyas.
Right, sahajiyas. Yeah. In a way, yeah, tears are important. Genuine tears are important.
Genuine tears.
Like they say, there are 4 kinds of tears that you should shed. You should first shed tears of regret, that you don't have that attraction for the holy name. Then you should shed tears for hankering, that there is this wonderful holy name that I have a little bit of relationship with, but I'm not able to experience it fully. It's like you have a gulab jamun and somebody gives you a small piece and says no more, right? And I'm not sure you'll have tears, but you have that hankering, right? That the rest of the gulab jamun is there. So that hankering for Krishna's name, they have a little bit of taste, but there is the gulab jamun over there. So there's the tears of hankering. Then there's the tears of ecstasy. And as you become more advanced, then you feel your Krishna is Anandmay. Hey, Sachita Anand. When Krishna is happy, when you're associating with Krishna, that happiness comes into you. There's the tears of ecstasy. And then the highest form is the tears of separation. That Krishna is there, but he is not there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshas, in these 8 verses, he talks about these 4 tears. He talks about the tear of lamentation. Nama nama khari bahuda nija sarva shakti tatrapita niyamate smarane na kala etadashi tab kripa bhagwan mamapi durdevyam idrisham hajani namura. That nama nama khari bahuda, that you have made yourself fully available in your name, but durdevyam idrisham hajani namura. But I have, it's so unfortunate, no anurag, that I have no attraction to your holy name. So that's the tear of regret. Then there's the tears of hankering. I want more of it. I nandatanujakinkaram patitamam jagme nivamati. That, oh Lord, oh son of Nanda, that where are you? I want to be more with you. And then there is the final, the tears of separation. Yugayitam nimashena chakshusha praparshanam shunyatam jagat sarvam govinda virane. That yugayitam nimashena. Nimashena is a fraction of a second, but appears as yugayitam, appears as a yuga. Yugayitam nimashena chakshusha praparshanam. That tears are falling from my eyes. Shunyatam jagat sarvam. The whole world is appearing to be shunya. Govinda virane. In the absence of Krishna. So sometimes Srimati Radharani was with Krishna, and then she would start feeling intense separation from Krishna. Even though Krishna was sitting right in front of her, she would start crying out of intense separation from Krishna. So of course, very, very exalted stage. But it goes back to the same theme that our spiritual life, it's propelled on a pull and a push. The push is the regret that we have, the regret that we turned our back to Krishna, the regret that we are looking to get pleasure in the material world, the regret that we are not able to turn our mind to Krishna. That's the push. And the pull is the ecstasy that we feel when we associate with the devotees, when we honor prasadam, when we worship the deities, when we chant the holy name. So, in a way, there is this pull and the push that takes us on the path of spirituality. So, Mataji, you had a question, right? Or a comment?
Prabhuji, sorry, I missed main part of the lecture, but two things I wanted to, one, also questions there. So one thing is, when I do my japa, especially when there is something going on, so either people, situations, or some materialistic attachment going on, and when I do my japa, it actually makes me realize that if I focus only on
on my mantra or through my mantra on my guru, then I can detach myself from all these things. And it actually just realigns my focus back on what is important or what is permanent. And the permanence is only my relationship with my guru. So that's one thing happens almost every time I do japa.
Very nice.
And the second thing is, so when I recite japa, I can only recite when I am consciously using the beads or my hands to do the japa. Or say I'm in the metro and I just do like 20 times the japa. But I do it very often because I'm not stuck with doing it 108 times or one round. So what should be the combination? And because when I do it very often, so I reach office, I type my password, I open my computer, I do another 20 rounds. And sorry, another 20 times. And so on. So I can keep doing my japa throughout the day. I enter back home and I was like, I enter my house, I do the japa. So it can be a recurring thing that you recite a mantra throughout the day.
Right.
Or when I'm putting Vedant to sleep, the time I have with myself, I can do my.
Right.
But I'm not counting at that time.
Right.
Or I could say I need a dedicated time, sit and I need to. It's almost, then that is meditation more than japa.
Right. So
how
Prabhupada would say do both. He would say you should chant all the time and you should chant your prescribed number of rounds. So when you're chanting all the time, then it becomes predicated on your circumstances. You know, sometimes things may allow you to chant more, and sometimes they may not. Sometimes you may be in a situation where you can chant good quality, sometimes not, right? So it's kind of like, you know, some days Parikshit comes and talks to you, some day he neglects you, right? You know,
How do you know?
So someday he comes with flowers and someday he comes with bricks. So he can't say that, look, I got flowers the last 3 days, so here's a brick today, or the hallmark of any relationship is steadiness, right? You can build on that steadiness, but there has to be a foundation. The house needs to have a strong foundation to be resting on. So that foundation is the committed. So when your guru gave you Diksha, he said that you chant this mantra and you chant so many rounds. That was the foundation of your spiritual life. That is your commitment to your guru, and that is your commitment to the holy name, right? That is non-negotiable, right? On above that, you can chant all day, you chant no day, you chant, in the metro or everything. That's like icing on the cake. Right. So it's good to do that, it's very good to do that, but factually speaking, and this is more based on our mentality, that unless we have a commitment, we tend to go to the lowest common denominator. When things are good, we'll chant. As soon as something is a little bit this way, and then it goes out of the window. So that's why there is so much of stress that is given on taking vows and committing to the vows. Nothing attracts the attention of Krishna more than that, because what that brings forth is our sincerity and our seriousness. That yes, I'm serious about this and I'm sincere in executing it. Right? Yeah, thank you. Prabhu, Latugopal?
Just a question, it's a little bit contradiction when we say like Krishna and Krishna's name are not different, but yet we want to say that you have to be in separation. So when we say Krishna, then we say Krishna is right here in front of you. And how do we bring the mood of separation?
You don't bring the mode of separation. So when I shared the 4 tears, The fourth tier is generally accompanying the stage of Mahabhav or Anubhav, which is experienced by devotees in a very, very exalted stage. Srimati Radharani, very, very exalted devotees, they experience that stage of intense separation from Krishna because their association with Krishna is so intimate. The example that I gave was Krishna is right there and Srimati Radharani is feeling separation from him. For us, if Krishna is there in front of us, that is good enough, more than good enough, right? It is we have already crested the pinnacle of our spiritual life. It's given there for us to understand the mood, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? In the last years of his life, he was chanting in the mood of separation. Right? So he is Krishna himself, mood of Radharani, but displaying that mood of separation. Krishna never separate from Srimati Radharani, but that mood is there, right? So it's not that you have to, when you sit down and start to chant, and then say that, mood of separation of Krishna, we naturally have that mood. We don't have to develop that mood, right? We already have.
The name itself, like.
Yeah, we are naturally in that state, right? So we don't have to work to get to that state. We have to work to get out of that state. Yeah.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bhayahari Prabhu ki jai.